Matt for Into Boxing, I'd like to be joined by Eddie Hearn. Eddie, back from San Diego, hell of a show. Chocolatito did his thing, and Maurizio Lara proved he's once again a very dangerous man. Talk to me about the trip.
It was an amazing show. I mean, the atmosphere, we had around 8,000 in there. Chocolatito was unbelievable. Martinez came to fight. He did great, but you saw a very good world champion against a pound-for-pound great, and Lara was incredible, the whole show brilliant, and we look forward to a massive show this weekend in Nottingham.
Absolutely, coming on to this show in Nottingham, Leewood, Michael Conlan, it's a brilliant 50-50 fight. What does it mean for the city? We haven't seen it like this since Carl Froch.
Yeah, we've been looking to come back here for a long time, but the city's really embraced it. They love the story of Leewood. He's a true Nottingham kid, 10,000 in the arena on Saturday, probably 3,500 Irish as well in there. It's a 50-50 fight. How good is Michael Conlan? How tough is Michael Conlan? We shall see. But Leewood coming with power, plenty of confidence, and a very tough fight for both.
Joe Pugh for Fight Stars TV. Talk to me about the undercard, Eddie. It's a great undercard, and for me, Cully Vasquez.
Yeah, good fight.
Great fight.
Good fight. It's going to kick us off. I like Sandy Ryan against Farias. I mean, Sandy Ryan is 3-0, fighting a two-time world champion. Super tough Farias, and we're going to see what she's all about. Kevin Agyarko is a very good fight as well. Tough fight, 19-1, I think. Rubio. And Terry Harper back in a tough fight as well. So really looking forward to the undercard, particularly Farias, Cully Vasquez, great fight. And of course, it's about the main event, but we're going to have a lot of fun along the way.
Eddie, we all saw AJ's Twitter comments yesterday, but if it was down to you, who would you have him facing an interim fight?
My idea of an interim is very different to AJ's idea of an interim. My idea of an interim is an easy touch while you're waiting. His is Deontay Wilder, Otto Wallin, Luis Ortiz, Joe Joyce. These are the kind of names he's talking about. So that's just him. He wants a challenge, and even if it is an interim bout, which we'll decide over the coming days or weeks, it will be a real fight, and it will be against a world champion contender.
When Anthony Joshua first told you that his main trainer now would be Andrew Fernandez, was you shocked after seeing him in the States with the likes of Virgil Hunter, Eddie Reynoso?
I think there's going to be additions to the team. He likes Angel, and Angel's a very good trainer. They're working really well together up in Loughborough. I do expect some additional members to the team, whether it's from an observing capacity or a mentor capacity. Or, it's always good to get great minds in the camp, but he feels very comfortable with Angel, and they're working really well together.
And last one from me, Eddie. What do you make of the British Boxing Board of Control downgrading Ian John Lewis after his scorecards for Catterall Taylor?
Well, you never want to see anybody kind of like almost publicly shamed, if you like, but the board had to do something. They had to act, and they have done, and I think that's important because there has to be a consequence for poor scorecards, and we've seen that. The only thing is, if you're doing that, what you're accepting is that the scorecard was wrong, and if the scorecards was wrong, then what do you do from there?
So should they overtake the decision?
I don't think it was that kind of fight, to be honest with you. I think that we got Miguel Vasquez up here. I mean, that for me was a much worse decision against Lewis Ritson than Catterall against Josh Taylor. But no one felt like, everyone felt a certain way about the scorecards. So therefore, how can everyone be wrong? But I say it wasn't a close fight, but it was close enough. Like Miguel Vasquez against Ritson, I thought it was like 9-3, if that, 10-2. And Ritson won by six rounds, I think, on one judge's scorecard. So it's just good to see activity and reaction to what was a bad scorecard.
Cheers, Eddie.
Johnny in for seconds. Eddie, we haven't seen you since you got the Canelo deal. How delighted are you with it?
Yeah, everyone keeps taking the mickey out of me about our bromance and our cuddling, and I'm going to continue to cuddle him because he's the biggest star in the sport, and he's got a very infectious energy and passion about boxing, and it's massive for us as a business. The two biggest stars in the sport are Canelo Alvarez and Anthony Joshua, and we represent both of them. And to represent the biggest star in American boxing is very big for our American business. So looking forward to the upcoming fight with Bivol and Golovkin, hopefully, if everyone wins, and then maybe even a fight in December as well.
People will often say you're salty about not getting the Fury White fight, but with that in mind, how much credit do you think you've actually gotten for landing this deal with Canelo?
I don't think anyone's really going to give me a lot of credit. I'm not here to get credit. I'm here to make money. I'm here to put on great shows. I'm here to provide opportunity for our fighters, and we're the best at what we do. So I'll say salty about Fury against Wyatt. Obviously, I would love to be promoting that show, but I'm not, and we get on with our business, and our business is global. We're the only true global boxing promotional company, staging huge fights with huge talent, and Canelo Alvarez doesn't get any bigger.
You just said AJ and Canelo, two biggest stars. Where would you rank Fury amongst the biggest stars?
3, I would say. I think you've seen from the draw with the tickets. He doesn't hit pay-per-view numbers like AJ, but he's a huge star. But you can't talk about globally. AJ has built a brand over almost a decade, and he's a huge global star. And Canelo Alvarez's value globally continues to rise, and hopefully we can see him box around the world.
Conor Ben, April 16th, Van Heerden. There's been a little bit of stick. What do you make of that? Obviously, considering there was talks about fighting the likes of Broner and my man as well.
Who's your man? Kilbrook?
Hooker.
Hooker. Hooker accepted the fight. We'd done the deal with Hooker, and then he pulled out a week later with a back injury. So Van Heerden's a good fight for Conor Ben. He's a southpaw. He's not fought a competitive southpaw, I think, his whole career. And let's just get one thing straight. 18 months ago, yes, but Van Heerden's last fight was against Boots Ennis, headlining on Showtime. And 18 months ago, it was okay for Boots Ennis, but it's not okay for Conor Ben. So I think this is a real fight. Van Heerden will come to fight. He's extremely competitive. He's strong. But I think you're going to see what I believe one of the biggest stars in British boxing in Conor Ben. And again, look, you had 7,000 in Liverpool. You're going to see another big crowd in Manchester. This kid's a star. We wanted Kell Brook. We tried to make those fights, but this is the final chapter, the final hurdle for Conor Ben before he jumps in with all those names, because he's ready after this win to go forward and try and get himself very, very close to challenging for the world title.
And last of all, obviously it's a 50-50 fight in my opinion this weekend. How does each fighter win?
I think people talk about Conlan on points or Lee Wood via stoppage, but I think both guys can do either, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be an explosive fight because Lee Wood is a very big puncher, but also at the same time Conlan can throw aggressively with great combinations as well, and I think the atmosphere is going to be so good inside this arena. It's going to be like a bear pit, and I think there's going to be drama. I think either guy can win. I think it's a 50-50 fight, but obviously I'm backing Lee Wood to do the business.
This is Steve from Boxing UK in association with Supreme CBD. Eddie Hearn. We'll throw some quick fire ones at you, Eddie. First of all, thanks for the shout out the other day.
No worries, you've got people working for you now.
Eddie, AJ versus Joyce, discuss.
Yeah, I mean, look, AJ was kind of laughing last night. He thinks it's funny that someone shouted out that AJ won't fight Otto Warling because he's awkward, and he's like, I boxed him twice in the amateurs, beat him easy. He won't fight Joe Joyce. He's like, I stopped him in a round in the amateurs. Won't fight Wilder. He wants the Wilder fight. Luis Ortiz, we've made a dozen offers to Luis Ortiz in the past, so he's up for fighting all those guys. I don't mind saying an interim bout for me should look a lot easier than the people AJ wants to fight, but he wants to fight big fights. He wants to fight great opponents. So Joe Joyce could be one. He was on AJ's list. How easy that fight would be to make, we don't know, but certainly AJ would have no problem fighting any of those guys.
John Lewis has been demoted. Can you persuade viewers why the Boxing Board of Control judges aren't corrupt? Because that's what gets thrown at the moment.
It's very difficult for me to stand there and sort of say, but quite frankly, it's ridiculous to even suggest such a thing. These are good boxing people that have been around a long, long time. They've got a tough job. But, there's absolutely no chance. I've been working in boxing, I've been around boxing for 35 years. But I've been working in boxing for 12 years. I've never, ever seen any level of corruption at all in the sport. But, of course, people who don't know the sport inside out, that's something that will cross their mind. So, whether you believe me or not, it's important for the board to make those decisions and to make sure that they act when there's a poor scorecard. And there was a poor scorecard. I mean, you've got a young man here this weekend, Miguel Vasquez, fighting Gary Cully. That was probably one of the worst cards I've ever seen. I mean, that was a lot worse than Catterall, but some of them are different levels of profile. But good to see the board reacting.
Yeah, I've had the one on the t-shirt. It's the last one. Sell us this weekend.
Just a brilliant fight. You've got the kid from Nottingham, who's been there, seen it, done it, 4 rounders, boxing for no money, getting beat, get an opportunity to headline in front of 10,000. Michael Conlan, it's his time, his opportunity to become a star if he's good enough. 50-50 fight, unbelievable atmosphere. It's going to be a great night.